Story 1. The Stranger in the Basement. Sarah's parents had gone out for the evening, leaving her home alone for the first time in months. She wasn't scared. Her suburban neighborhood was quiet, and the doors were all locked. She settled on the couch with popcorn and a movie. Halfway through, she heard it, a faint thump from the basement. She froze, staring at the door leading downstairs. Her mind raced. Could it be the wind? Maybe something had fallen. She decided to ignore it, turning the TV volume up. But then she heard it again, this time louder. Thump, thump. Grabbing her phone, she tiptoed toward the basement door and called out, "Hello? Mom? Dad?" Silence. Suddenly, she heard faint, dragging footsteps on the basement stairs. Panicking, she dialed her dad, but the call wouldn't go through. Thump. The footsteps were getting closer. Trembling, she ran to lock the basement door, just as something slammed against it from the other side. She screamed, pushing a chair against the door. Heart pounding, she called 911. Minutes felt like hours as the footsteps stopped, replaced by a soft scratching sound against the wood. When the police arrived, they searched the basement but found nothing except an old broken chair lying in the middle of the room. But as the officer turned to leave, he noticed something odd, a dusty footprint on the stairs. It was too fresh to be Sarah's. "Someone was down here," he muttered. "But they're gone now." Sarah moved out of that house a month later, but sometimes she swears she can still hear those faint footsteps in her dreams. Story 2. The Voice in the Walls. Liam was used to being home alone. At 16, he was often left in charge while his parents worked late. That night, as he scrolled through his phone, he heard something strange, a faint whisper. At first, he thought it was just the wind, but the whisper grew louder, forming words. "Liam, come closer." He froze. It sounded like it was coming from the walls. He pressed his ear to the wall near the living room and heard it again, faint but distinct. "Help me." Trying to stay calm, he told himself it was a prank, maybe a Bluetooth speaker hidden somewhere. He searched every room, but found nothing unusual. The whispers didn't stop. They followed him. No matter where he went in the house, he could hear them. By now, the voice was more desperate. "Don't leave me here." Terrified, Liam decided to check the attic. With a flashlight in hand, he climbed the creaky stairs, his heart pounding. The whispers grew louder as he pushed open the attic door. The room was empty, except for an old wooden box in the corner. As he approached, the whispers turned to sobs. He opened the box and found a dusty porcelain doll with cracked, lifeless eyes. The whispers stopped. Suddenly, his phone buzzed. It was a text from an unknown number. "You shouldn't have opened it." Liam dropped the doll and ran downstairs. But when he turned to lock the attic door, the whispers began again, louder than before. "Don't leave me alone." He never told anyone what happened, but he avoided the attic from that day forward. The box remained untouched, as if waiting for someone else to open it. Story 3. The Shadow in the Window. Emma was babysitting for the Johnsons, a nice couple with a 4-year-old boy, Max. The night was uneventful. Max had gone to bed early, and Emma was enjoying her favorite show on the couch. Around 10 p.m., she got up to grab a snack from the kitchen. As she passed by the large window in the living room, she froze. A dark figure was standing outside, motionless. She quickly closed the curtains, her heart racing. Maybe it was her imagination. But when she returned to the couch, her phone buzzed. It was a text from an unknown number. "Why did you close the curtain?" Panicking, she checked the locks on all the doors and windows. She tried calling Max's parents, but her phone wouldn't connect. Another text appeared. "I'm still here." Emma ran upstairs to check on Max. He was sound asleep, oblivious to the terror downstairs. She locked his door and sat by his bed, clutching her phone. Minutes later, she heard a soft tap on the bedroom window. They were on the second floor. Trembling, she opened the curtain just a crack. No one was there, but when she turned back toward the bed, she froze. Max's closet door was slightly open, and inside she saw it. A dark shape crouched in the shadows, eyes gleaming faintly in the dim light. The door creaked open further, and a low, raspy voice whispered, "I told you I was here." Emma grabbed Max and ran from the house, screaming for help. The police found no sign of an intruder, but the Johnsons later revealed a chilling detail. The house's previous owner had vanished years ago, last seen standing outside that very window. Story: The Watcher in the Window. Lila loved her weekends alone. Her parents often went out of town, and at 17, she was used to having the house to herself. It was a cozy little place on the edge of town, surrounded by woods that seemed peaceful during the day, but ominous at night. Lila didn't mind. She liked the solitude. That Friday evening, the air was crisp, and the house was quiet except for the soft hum of the fridge and the occasional creak of the old floorboards. Lila curled up on the couch with a bowl of popcorn and her favorite movie. Halfway through the film, her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "You look cozy." Her heart skipped. She stared at the message, unsure what to make of it. Maybe it was a prank. She texted back, "Who is this?" No response. Shrugging it off, she locked the front door, checked the windows, and returned to the couch. She told herself it was probably a wrong number. Minutes later, her phone buzzed again. "I like your sweater." This time, her skin prickled. She was wearing an oversized red sweater, her favorite. How could they know? A lump formed in her throat. She stood and glanced around the room. The curtains were drawn and the lights were dim. She grabbed her phone and typed, "This isn't funny. Leave me alone." The reply came almost instantly. "I'm already here." Her blood ran cold. She backed away from the couch, clutching her phone, and hurried to the kitchen to grab a knife. Her hands shook as she dialed 911. The operator's calm voice asked for her address. Lila started to explain, but then she froze. A faint tapping sound came from the living room window. She peeked around the corner. The curtains were drawn, but the tapping continued, soft, deliberate, like fingers drumming against the glass. "Someone's outside," she whispered into the phone. "Stay on the line," the operator said. "Officers are on their way." Lila crept toward the window, knife in hand, her heart pounding. The tapping stopped. She reached out and slowly pulled back the curtain. Nothing. The yard was empty, bathed in the pale glow of the moon. She sighed in relief, closing the curtain tightly. Then her phone buzzed again. Nice try. Terror gripped her. She spun around, scanning the room. Her eyes darted to the hallway mirror, and that's when she saw it. A figure standing in the reflection just behind her. She screamed and turned, but there was no one there. The police arrived minutes later, but they found nothing. The house was locked, and there were no signs of forced entry. Lila was visibly shaken, but the officers assured her she was safe. They suggested it was a prank, maybe someone from school trying to scare her. After they left, Lila double-checked all the locks and turned on every light in the house. Exhausted, she decided to sleep in her parents' room. It felt safer somehow. As she settled into bed, her phone buzzed one last time. Check the closet. Her breath caught. She didn't want to look, but felt compelled. Gripping the knife tightly, she approached the closet and flung it open. It was empty, just clothes and shoes. She let out a shaky laugh. Maybe it really was a prank. But as she turned back toward the bed, she froze. The reflection in the mirror wasn't hers anymore. It was the figure from before, grinning. The lights went out. Story 5. The locked door. Mia hated being home alone, but her parents insisted she was old enough to handle it. The house was quiet that night, save for the ticking of the grandfather clock in the hallway. To distract herself, she curled up in her room with a book, trying to ignore the occasional creak of the old house settling. Just as she began to relax, she heard it, a soft thud from downstairs. She froze, straining to hear. A few seconds later, another sound followed, like the faint scrape of wood against wood. Her pulse quickened. Maybe it was the wind or the cat, but then she remembered. The cat was outside and the windows were all shut. Mia tiptoed to her bedroom door and listened. The house was silent now, but she couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. She grabbed her phone and texted her mom, but there was no reply. Gathering her courage, she crept down the hall to the top of the stairs. Peering into the darkness below, she noticed something odd. The door to the basement was ajar. They always kept that door locked. Her stomach churned as she descended the stairs, each creak of the steps amplifying her fear. When she reached the bottom, she saw muddy footprints leading from the basement into the kitchen. My mom," she called out, her voice trembling. No answer. Suddenly, a floorboard creaked behind her. She spun around, heart hammering, but no one was there. Her phone buzzed in her hand. A text from an unknown number. "Why did you leave the basement door open?" The basement door slammed shut.